Welcome to the MyBusiness Podcast, where we sit down with local businesses and we talk about who they are, where they come from, and what inspires them to be in business.
Hello and welcome to the MyBusiness Podcast. Today I've got someone special joining me from, I believe it's Wollongong, and his name is Scott Keevers. Welcome to the MyBusiness Podcast, Scott.
Thanks for having me today, Adam.
No, you're very welcome, mate. Look, really looking forward to this one, but look, let me throw over to you. Tell me about the name of your business and what you do.
Yeah, so we're SK Business Coaching, so a business coaching firm down here in Wollongong, New South Wales. Really working with local tradies to help them take their businesses to the next level. Business coaching generally work in the local vicinity, but also can work virtually as well. We're on Zoom almost every day, so we can help tradies sort of anywhere in Australia to reach their goals and their potential.
Fantastic, mate. Yeah, look, we're on Zoom now, aren't we? It's done very regularly these days. So, I would imagine it would be easy for you to be able to have clients all over.
Yeah, that's it. Always go and see them at the start because, again, it's about building that rapport with your client. And then from there, you can do this, virtually forever. Obviously, COVID really put that one in place for us. And in terms of when I started coaching, it was all Zoom 24/7 due to COVID. So use that now in this venture, and 95% of the time always on Zoom and really helping the business owners virtually.
Fantastic, because I gather with you specialising in working with tradies, the ability to do it over Zoom is probably very handy because obviously they they're on the tools most of the time, earning the bucks. So to come and talk to you to work out how to earn more bucks, getting on Zoom maybe even after hours is much easier for them.
Yeah, that's it. It works for both sides of the coin. Obviously, if we're both traveling to and from each other to do coaching, that takes us away from generating income in their businesses. So it does work for everyone. And, if we're catching up for an hour on Zoom, it is, strictly 1 hour on Zoom, no in-between part, which is just, wasted time for travel. So it does work for both of us.
Fantastic. Yeah, because look, every minute would count for a tradie. How did you how did you get into this business, and how did you end up specialising with tradespeople?
Yeah, so I guess one back to the start. So out of school, I became an accountant and became a chartered accountant for 10 years there. So really I've been working with business owners for a long time to help them in their businesses. And then a few years back, joined a local business coaching firm, again here in the Illawarra, and we really targeted that building and construction space. So we're working with, your very, very small one-man band plumber all the way through to a commercial subcontractor doing, multi-million dollars in turnover and everything in between. So springboard to today, where this is a pretty new venture under this SK Business Coaching banner. It just made sense to continue to work with tradies and the like type businesses to really help them to get them to where they want to go. And with that 10-year accounting experience, that really helps a tradie business to understand their numbers better and using that as a groundwork to help them get their business in the right direction.
Sure. Look, it must be a great service that you have because, look, in having tradies over to my place and, having spoken to a few mates over the years, I understand that a lot of tradies, are the one-man band who are on the tools who want to know how to get to that next level. There are some that seem to be able to do it. There are others that don't. So I'm guessing that's something that you would be very good at in teaching them what to do and how to do to take that next step.
That's it. Always the first step is they always start with getting an apprentice, and is that the right decision? Obviously, an apprentice is pretty cheap, so it does make it a very easy and logical decision to make. But then, obviously, from there you need to go and jump to a tradesman, and now we're talking, a lot of money on the table, and we need to make sure that these guys are busy all the time, so you can pay their wages and you make a profit. So, being that one-man band, you can keep a really tight eye on your numbers because it's just yourself, your materials, and very, very low amount of overheads. It's when you start to grow that more stress, more worries, and more money goes in and out of the business. So a lot of people like to stay really small, and that's fine because they know how much money they'll make. But obviously, as you grow, there's more stress, there's more headaches, but there's more potential to make more money in the same band. So, as people progress through these growing pains in their business, generally when they reach out to a business coach and say, this is where we're at right now, these are a few of the challenges we're having, help us to navigate these challenges accordingly. And they can be in a number of different areas in the business.
Sure, because look, again, thinking about it, as you become a tradie, you do your apprenticeship, and then you probably start working for somebody else before you even go out as your own sole trader, if you like. But where has been the business, coaching in that progression? So, I gather you'd have a lot of valuable insight. And unless they've got it naturally or have done some external work, they won't have that, those knowledge and skills, and that's what you can bring to them.
100%, Adam. They, finish their trade and they know that they can make more money doing this themselves, which is usually the driver for them to start their own business. And 100%, they can make more money doing it for themselves. Obviously, they're very good at their trade, which is what I physically tell them when I talk to them. It's like, I can't help you to be a good plumber or a good chippy or a good sparky. I can help you to do everything else in your business, whether that's lead generation, sales, working and dealing with your employees, and that back-end numbers part, which is so important, which they tend to not have anything in place for it. So they've never been taught how to run a successful business. They've been taught how to do their trade and do it well, and that's where it ends. And at the end of the day, they're hoping that this venture is going to make them all the money that they need in their lifetime. So it just seems crazy that these people don't have guidance in the right areas to make sure that this vehicle gives them everything that they need and want. Because this is in a perfect world the only job that they'll ever have. So it needs to be profitable and it needs to reach their goals and targets.
Yeah, absolutely, couldn't agree more, mate. What are some of the key aspects of a tradie or tradespeople should focus on to improve their overall success and profitability? What areas do they need to look at?
So there's multiple hundreds of different areas they could look to focus in on. But I mean, the core ones is always to start with lead generation. Where does your work come from? Once the work's in the door, what about your conversion rate? So how many leads are you getting in the door, and how many of them can you actually convert into a paying customer? Big piece of the puzzle. The next big piece where a lot of tradie business owners come unstuck is managing your employees. Generally, their apprentices are 18 years old. They're going out, they're losing their license, they're doing a number of things, which is very stressful for the business owner. As they start to get older, they obviously become more aware, but managing employees for a tradie business, as you can understand, is very, very difficult.
Look, that's something very interesting you brought up there. That's something I'd never considered, that, their first employee is probably going to be a 16, 17-year-old kid who, going down the tradie route. We know that the types you could probably get at that age and heading down that way and managing them and teaching them and getting the best out of them for your business would be challenging.
Yeah, that's it. The fundamentals to start to get them in the right direction. And again, you don't need to employ someone based on having the best skill. Employ someone based on attitude. If they've got a good attitude, the rest will fall into place because you can teach them. If someone's got natural talent but has no attitude or a bad attitude, you can't tailor them to be how you need them to be, and they won't work out in the long term. And so they're the three sort of core ones. And then I guess a big part of where I come in with my accounting background is actually knowing your numbers. So for not just tradie business owners, for any business owner out there, their metric is how much money do I have in the bank account, which is ludicrous. So knowing your numbers from the start, being, what is your net profit goal? Start there. How much do I want to make next year? What are my fixed overheads of the business? How much does it cost me in materials and subcontractors?
Even what they're charging, I imagine. I'm sure you've had clients where you say you should be charging more.
Yeah, and it gets to that point where, what does that turnover need to be? And then once they know how much turnover they need to achieve in a week or a month or a year, then they can start to put the blinkers on and go towards that number. But until they understand and know that, we don't know where the issue lies. And again, 100%, there is a lot of tradies in every suburb of every state of Australia. So some are very cheap, and there's a reason for that. Some are in the middle, some are very, very expensive. So, where do you sit in that spectrum? And, is raising your prices the right idea for you and your business? Because that is the easiest and fastest way to make more revenue, is simply raise your prices.
Sure, but I'm sure there'd be other things too, like even concentrating on your core services rather than doing too much. And I gather you would provide, initially a bit of an analysis, from a holistic perspective to look at what they're doing and identify all the things that either need tweaking or totally re-engineering to get that business going in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. It's like for a plumber, what type of plumbing do you do? Do you do new builds? Do you do commercial work? Do you do that, 24/7 maintenance plumbing? And a lot of them say, oh yeah, I do a little bit of everything, which is fine, but what's your core product and service? And at the end of the day, which is the one that makes you the most money and is the easiest to continue on? Good flow of leads coming into the business, good profitable work that you can do. And that can be your decision maker as to what is the right one for you.
Sure. So you run a regular webinar, I believe, Scott, and that tradies can jump on there and hear and see what you do. Can you tell me about, even just doing that, how that's helped change some of your clients' businesses?
Yeah, definitely. So, the webinar is about every fortnight. So we run, 2 a month, and it is free to attend. Just some value add for, targeted to trades businesses that they can start to plug in and use in their business the next day. And so a good example of that is a carpentry business who attended the webinar and is currently a client of mine. And so come and learn the strategy of an upsell and a cross-sell. And again, a lot of people say, not really sure about that. But basically, if you're thinking about this, just think about McDonald's. Their upsell is, do you want to go from medium to large? And they physically ask you the question. The cross-sell is, would you like fries with that? So again, using that idea in your own business, how does that work for you? And so for the carpentry business, they do skylights. Literally the next day, went and quoted up for a $4,000 to $5,000 skylight. The client said yes. And then he immediately said, how about I put a door in this part of the wall? Then, this natural light will get into this room and the next room over there. The client said, that's a great idea. And he immediately made $2,000 extra just by having that thought process in his mind about what can I upsell or cross-sell in this scenario.
And going into it, knowing he had that tool, that skill in his mind to take it in, and bang, away you go, and probably uses that now with every quote he does where he sees an opportunity.
Yeah, correct. The big part is, preparation. I'm going to do this quote. What could I potentially do if the circumstances arise? And again, the core part of the strategy is asking it every single time. So the data says that if you ask this question every single time, 1 in 3 people will say yes.
And there's extra money just for jam, isn't it? And you're giving your clients what they want. You're not, it's not, it gives them something extra, whatever that might be. They're not going to say yes if they don't want it.
Correct. So it's got to be that win-win. You win, the client wins. And again, if they say no, you've still got that initial sale, which you were there to do anyway. So there's no harm. It's literally just about asking the question and making sure that it is a win-win for both involved.
Fantastic. So what advice would you give to tradies listening to this podcast about taking on a business coach? There's probably a lot who've never thought about it, and sort of, it's always been my business and I know what I'm doing. What advice could you give them in terms of, coming onto your webinar and considering taking on some help? What sort of results do you have? Sort of any guarantees, any promises that you can give potential clients?
Yeah, so in terms of what I'd say to them, I'd say reach out sooner rather than later. I hear them all the time say, I've been thinking about a business coach for the last 6 to 12 months. The sooner you reach out, if I'm the right business coach for you, awesome, we can start this process. If I'm not, we could potentially point you in the right direction. Who someone might work in your niche. I work with tradies. I work with other businesses as well, but I work very well with tradies. So there might be a particular coach who works very well with restaurants out there. So again, it's about reaching out sooner rather than later and get the ball rolling. It's always free up until we sign on that dotted line and saying, well, yes, let's work together. So if we have a phone call, if you come to my webinar, if we're having a meeting, everything is just value add at that point in time. So if you get some gold nuggets there and run away and use them in your business, that's all well and good. Again, about providing value. And if you see there is 10 times more value to give by doing one-on-one coaching, then that's where we start.
Fabulous. I mean, it's really a case of why not? Why wouldn't you? You've got nothing to lose, and you might take something away, whether you end up doing the one-on-one coaching with you or not. That's of value to your business. So.
Yeah, and I mean, we always talk in that idea of return on investment. So if I was to give you $10, Adam, and then say, if you gave me $10 and I said I'll give you 20 back, it sounds like a pretty good deal, yeah.
Absolutely.
Just doubled your money. So same for coaching. If you give me X dollars, my internal what we must achieve is at least a 2x return. So you give me $10, I'll give you 20 back. And this is about, you putting trust in your coach to get you where you want to go. And it's always going to be profit and or time. Fantastic. So a lot of business owners want money and they're saying, I'll work a lot of hours to get money. And then other people have money and they say, I want to work a lot less to get the same amount of money.
So you look at their goals and tailor your coaching to what they want to achieve, because as you've just said, that can be very different.
Correct. No two businesses are the same in terms of where they're at in their lifestyle, in terms of family, kids, retirement, starting up a business. I don't know everything that they've got on there in their life until we start to sit down and really map out what that looks like. And like I said before, the business is the vehicle to get all your personal wealth. So if you need to make 100 grand next year, the business is how you're going to do that. If you want to make 200 grand next year, how are we going to get there between what you made this year and next year? And can you do it on your own, or do you need someone in your corner that's helping you every week, every fortnight to get to that result? And again, we want them to get there faster, more efficiently, and to get rid of that trial and error mentality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is where business owners you've talked to who've been in business for 20 years, they've just struggled through and done that trial and error for us. And so bringing all of their knowledge together, we don't need to do that in the future because people have done it before. We learn from their mistakes and we can do this in the most efficient way to get you where you want to go.
And the brilliant thing is, Scott, I think that you deal with tradies, and tradies are tradies. And so you know exactly what their businesses entail and exactly what to do in their industries in order to get those gains in whatever area it is. So there's someone who, I can imagine a lot of tradies getting home, after a hard day's work, they're having a beer and they're thinking, I'm going to earn this X amount again this year. Sure, there's others that are doing better. What can I do? Yeah. Shall I throw money at Google AdWords? Shall I put on a Facebook post? And, and like you said, trial and error. But come to someone like you, pay for some expert advice and get some, really good growth from someone who knows what they're doing in an industry, knows backwards.
Yeah, that's it. And we're always talking about, sustainable growth. Like, I don't want to grow your sales by 100% in the next 12 months, unless we agree that that is the right thing for your business. Let's do it sustainably so that we're growing the business, but the team and the systems are growing with it, so that you as the business owner aren't more stressed in this same process. And now thinking, if we double our business in the next 12 months, I'm going to be so busy. It's about doing it in a sustainable approach, so that when we get there, worse off in terms of time or stress than you were when we began the journey.
Excellent.
And my default is definitely not paid Google ads and paid Facebook ads. There are numbers and numbers of other strategies we can use first, which are easy to implement, cost work potentially 10 times better. Again, it comes down to the specific industry and business and a lot of factors, but that is not the go-to in terms of where do we start.
Sure. Look, time flies when you're having fun. We're getting towards the end here already, but look, a final question for you. And you mentioned earlier with your accounting background that you worked with, trades, businesses, people and businesses from your sole trader right up to someone with a heap of staff. Is there a particular area or size of business from that sole trader right up that you like to work with, or can you help any size business when they're dealing with trades?
Yeah, I mean, I can help, any size business trades. Obviously, the solo entrepreneur, solo business owner, solo tradie, they've got a pretty good handle on what they need to do. If they want to take it to the next step and start to incorporate more things into their business, then 100% I can help them. But if they're pretty happy where they sit and they're probably making some good money, they probably don't need me. We're talking, you've probably got a few staff members now, so you are growing, but your profitability is not growing at the same level. So when you're by yourself, profitable, you're adding on all these costs now, and things just get a little bit looser. And so you're making more turnover, but you're not making more profit, and you've got more stress and headaches in between. That's the sweet spot there. So a few staff members, your turnover is growing, but your profitability is not growing at that same level. And that's where we can really, fine tune your business to stay on that same track of growth and do it in a profitable manner.
Fantastic.
And so, there's a package out there for everyone as well. So, in saying that, if you are in a different bucket, always open to a conversation and see where we can help you from there.
Look, I've really enjoyed the conversation, Scott, and it's become pretty clear. If you're a tradie and you're listening or watching to this, jump onto Scott's webinar and spend an hour. You can't lose, regardless of whether you go forward from there in any way. You'll pick up some valuable stuff from that. So, mate, where can tradies find you? Give me your website. Give me your where they can contact you about the webinar. How do they get in touch?
So our website is skbusinesscoaching.com.au. Also find me on Facebook and Instagram. And so if you go to Instagram, there will be a whole bunch of links in there, one going straight to that webinar registration page. And again, it's after hours, so I'm not going to take you out of your day when I'm sure you're busy on the tools. It's free. And these are easy to implement cost-free strategies that you can start using in your business straight away. So I'm not going to be selling you to Facebook or Google ads or anything like that. And so, find me on all the usual platforms or my website. And again, it's free to inquire, and more than happy to have a chat with anyone who's thinking about business coaching, might be interested in the future, think they should have done it 12 months ago, whatever your situation is, wherever you're located in Australia as well. More than happy to have a conversation and see if I can help you get you to where you want to go.
Excellent. Why wouldn't you do it? Excellent. Thank you so much, Scott Keevers from SK Business Coaching. Thanks for being on the My Business Podcast.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks for listening to the My Business Podcast, brought to you by Media 8 on the Podfire platform. If you want to be on our podcast, please reach out to the team on all our socials at mybusiness.pod.